Okay, I think it's running. So, all right, this is Shane from BlogWorld Expo and BlogWorld New Media Expo, and I'm with Peter Shankman. Peter is, if everybody doesn't know by now, is author, entrepreneur, blogger, and adventurist, and also the founder of HARO, the Help a Reporter Out Network, which is super awesome. It is. It's really cool. And Peter, so you're going to be doing a session at BlogWorld this in New York in June, and we're totally excited to have you back. Your keynote last year just absolutely knocked the socks off of people.
Thank you.
They're still talking about it, you know, and it's true. You know, Peter, hey, did you see that keynote with Peter Shankman? Yep, I was there. People were taking notes, tweeting, Facebooking, Google Plusing.
That was a fun keynote to give. It really was.
It was awesome. I think if Pinterest would have been around, then you would have been pinned many times. So, which sounds strange these days, right?
I'd say, yeah, that probably wouldn't go over well with my wife, but you know.
I mean, you know, we talk about Facebook, you know, poking someone, you're pinned, you're tweeted. I mean, what are we these days? So.
You know, the irony is that it's nowhere near as much action as it sounds like it should be. You know.
Absolutely. So okay, so your session is just so people out there, you know, can get excited here. It's with Jennifer Warr, and it's about when it gets real.
Right.
What happens when your fun little personal brand grows up? So, what's that going to be about?
Well, you know, when I was giving my speech, I mean, a lot of what I was saying is the basic common sense principles of don't be stupid. You know, when I was giving the keynote, you know, learn to be smart, the DBS rule, don't be stupid. And Jelena came up to me afterwards, introduced herself, and said, you know, I have this brand that I've been growing, and I'm 23 years old, or whatever else she is. She goes, you know, what if I don't want to grow up? What if I want to keep having fun? And I said, well, I've never really grown up. I said, but you just have to, there are some things you have to change. And we started this back and forth dialogue, and sort of came to the realization that, you know, a lot of people don't understand they can actually still have a fun brand and enjoy their brand and really have a good time with it, but still come across as more of a person who's taken seriously. You know, there are ways to do both these things. So that's really what I'm trying to show. And so it'll be a fun back and forth. The concept that you know, she's 23 or something, and it's funny, I'm playing the curmudgeon, I'm playing the almost 40-year-old guy now who's standing there hiking his jeans up to his shoulder, get off my lawn, like, yeah. Look at your pants. But you know, it's gonna be a fun session. I'm looking forward to it.
You will have to grab that Geritol before the talk, right?
Yeah. Hey. Waiter.
Well, you know, no, this is a good thing, because I think there's a lot of people out there who come to these shows or even in their own businesses right now wondering, I don't want to lose myself.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, I'm not, you know, God knows. I mean, I jump out of airplanes for fun. You know, I wrote a blog post yesterday talking about how if Tebow moves, not a blog, it was a Facebook post. It said if Tebow moves the Jets, it'll be 3 months before he's photographed coming out of a club with hookers and blow. You know, so it's like, you know, I'm not there losing. I haven't become this buttoned down, you know, a corporate drone just because I had a company that was acquired. You could still have your own life and your own mentality. You just have to be like 5% smarter about it. That's all. No,
that's true. That's true. And on that note, you know, I guess that'll give Tebowing a whole new, you know, what will that lead to, right?
I don't even want to know. Don't even want to know.
So that's what it's about, which is awesome. Now, what do you think? So, you know, attendees are going to come. They're going to be sitting there. What are they going to take away from that? What's something they can really take away?
I think, you know, I want to get across the message that, you know, you can have fun with your brand. You can enjoy your brand. And even though your brand might be growing up and you might be going to a new level, you can still have fun with it. But having fun with it, you know, different levels of fun. The level of fun you might have had in college might need to shift a little bit. And quite frankly, it should. You're growing up.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, I mean, posts that have the word bong hit after you're out of college, probably not the best thing in the world. But, you know, it doesn't mean you can't go out and have a great night. Just leave the freaking iPhone at home.
Right. Leave the
go on, your ass off. Whatever you're gonna do, just try not to photograph.
Or at least have the decency to explain why the bong hit is going to help you somehow. I don't know. If draw your own conclusions. Maybe it can help in some realm of your professional life, right? You know.
In some capacity, sure.
Well, this is interesting because I love your blog, and on your blog, like I think it was the 12th of March, you wrote this really, really good post, and it was pretty personal. And it got a lot of great comments. And so that is one thing I think a lot of people struggle with too is, you know, how much do you bleed that personal in? And it kind of goes back to your talk. You know, where do we draw those lines, really?
I mean, for me, you know, I don't post or put any I don't create any content if I'm in any. I consider creating content that go with the same laws as driving. You know, the things I won't do and then drive are the same things I won't do and then post content. You know, don't drink and post content. Don't be angry and post content. You know, content rage. You know, all these things that you don't want to do because they really do. Once the content's up there, ask yourself: are you going to be that angry in 3 hours? Are you going to be that pissed off in 3 hours? Is that Katy Perry song with all the lyrics really going to be that important when you're sober? You know,
right?
And so you learn that having an audience is a double-edged sword. They can give you great feedback, but something's out there and it's public. It's out there forever. And the interesting thing for me, anyway, is you know, I always consider having an audience a privilege, not a right.
Mm-hmm.
It's very much like wearing spandex. I think, and I mentioned this in my keynote. You know. Yes. You have the privilege to have an audience, not a right. And so when you have that privilege, don't take it. Having an audience is like having a best friend who will always listen to you. But you know what? If you start calling at 2 in the morning all the time, wasted off your ass saying how much you miss your ex-boyfriend or whatever, after a while, they're just gonna get it's gonna get old. It's gonna get old.
Yeah, yeah. Don't be too needy with your audience. You know,
exactly.
Give them
good content. Exactly.
Well, I think, you know, so you've been going to conferences for quite a while now in all this. And so, you know, how do you feel about them in general? Like, what value? And I noticed, you know, a lot of what you talk about is networking, so that's a good place to network. But how in general do you feel, Peter, about conferences and these experiences you know?
I think conferences are great places to network, but I would take it a step further and say that everything you do should be a networking experience. Mm-hmm. Everyone you meet, everyone you talk to, everything you do should be a networking experience. If you're only networking when you go to conferences, you're wasting a lot of time. Yeah,
that's true. Do you remember your first conference experience?
God, probably going to the auto show with my dad when I was like 15 and just running around going, holy crap, they give T-shirts out for free?
The early days of swag.
Oh my God! I remember I headed PR up. I worked with an agency and we handled PR for Internet World.
Yeah.
Back in '98, we actually had a limo to take us to all the different parties because we couldn't get there ourselves. There were so many parties. It was. I always wanted to write a book about the early .com day and just call the book "Who the F Did We Think We Were?"
Yeah. Thank you. Exactly. So conferences are valuable. Obviously, networking is massively valuable. And so that's good. And I think that's a good experience to have, especially at conferences this big. So what is on your radar right now? What are you reading these days? What are you doing these days that people should know about?
Out there. I mean, I've fallen in love with a magazine called The Week.
Oh,
The Week
okay.
Every Friday, and it's just like this great wrap up of all the crap you missed during the week. It's a great way to read. I love The Week. What else? There are a lot of up and coming bloggers out there that I'm starting to read. There's a girl called Lauren O'Neill out of Canada. She writes a blog called Lauren O'Nizzle.
Nice.
She covers entertainment. I'm working with some high end luxury hotel chains now, and so I'm starting to get into that segment, reading more about that kind of stuff. It's really fascinating. I'm having a great time. I'm incredibly lucky. You know.
This is, so when you find a blog, Peter, that you were just mentioning, like Lauren's blog, what made you read that blog? What stands out to you since you've been so involved for so long?
It's I like to read things a lot of times that I don't necessarily know about. I like to increase what I can learn from, and so she has this kind of blog that focuses on like entertainment, and fashion. When I'm wearing a running race T-shirt, I mean, it's giving some idea about my level of fashion. So if I can learn from her, and stop being a fat ass and become like a fashionable fat ass, then hey, that's a win.
Well.
Anything you can learn from, anything that teaches you and gets you out of your comfort zone a little bit is great. I think that's one of the reasons I got into skydiving.
Yeah. Do you like humor? Do you like when people use humor, or do you like the?
Use humor. I mean, I think if more people use humor, I think there'd be less problems in the world. I really believe that.
Hey, there's a lot of content out there, and so you got to help people rise to the top somehow. Well, that's cool. Now, one of the things too, I was just curious about this, and I think this is a good way to kind of end is I noticed that you had this tweet. What was it? The top tweet in 2011 to top 5 tweet. What was this tweet?
It's crazy. It was one of the top 10 tweets right there. I was up there with the tweet about the tsunami and about the London riots and the Arab Spring, and there's me asking for a freaking steak. It's like one of these things is not like the other. It was a tweet asking Morton's Steakhouse to send me a steak, and I was joking when I did it. I never expected anyone to take it seriously, and they actually did it. They actually sent me a steak. I was shocked. They met me at the airport with a steak. It was ridiculous.
Wow.
And it led to like $2 million worth of free publicity for them, and their restaurant sales went up by like 30%. And hell, I got a steak.
Well, yeah, at the end of the day, I got a steak. That's well, that's awesome. So, if we're going to, have this video going around and there's going to be attendees, maybe sitting there thinking, gosh, should I come to this? Is this all worth it? What's the last thing maybe you want to say to people?
If there are any attendees still watching this video after 10 minutes who haven't just had their heart stop of sheer boredom, I would add that it is going to be a fun, again, you have a 40-year-old and almost 40-year-old and a 23-year-old or whatever.
Yeah.
Going at it, I guarantee you there'll be lots of references where I say things like, well, back in my day, when MTV wasn't just a reality channel, 23, it's going to be a lot of me realizing how old I am and being really pissed off about it, but it's going to be a lot. It's going to be a lot of fun, and I encourage you to check it out. I think I was rated the highest keynote ever at BlogWorld, and so this speech should be no different. We should have a really good time with it.
Yeah, I'm excited, and I think it's definitely going to be worth it. I can't wait. I'll definitely be there to watch it. And well, thanks, Peter. That's thanks for your time. I know you're busy and things are going on, so thanks a lot.
My pleasure.
I appreciate it. Thanks.
All right.